Is the traditional path of software development evolving in the era of AI and citizen developers? Well, welcome back to another episode of Tech Talks Daily, where we explore the intersection of technology and the real world. And of course, I'm your host, Neil, and today we're going to be diving into the world of AI, app development, and the tech talent landscape. And today I'm going to be joined by Jithin Bhasker from ServiceNow, and they're a company at the forefront of transforming how work gets done in the digital age. And ServiceNow have got a reputation for their innovative approach to unifying and digitising organisations and helping them reshaping the future of work as they do that. And as every business attempts to grapple with that global shortage of traditional coding talent, I want to learn more how ServiceNow is harnessing the power of generative AI and low coding platforms to democratise app development and also expand the pool of developer resources. And what does all this actually mean for the future of professional developers and the quality of applications that they produce? Well, let's find out. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to California, where today's guest is waiting to join us. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Neil. It's an honor to be here. I'm Jithin Bhasker, GM VP of App Engine Business at ServiceNow. I've been with ServiceNow for the last 5 years, and prior to ServiceNow, I work with companies like Adobe, Google, Dell, and a couple of startups as well. Been in the enterprise technology space for the last 20 years or so, and a computer science and engineer by my major. So really a proponent of everything technology can do to enable our lives every day.
Well, there's so much I'm looking forward to talking with you about today, because although we're in January 2024, the year began with lots of news stories around tech layoffs, etc. And then, a week ago now, there was CES, and from what I could see, it was AI everywhere. So many devices, everything was online, from your kettle to your toaster to your washing machine, AI everywhere. And I'm thinking there's a slight conflict here, because we need developers for all of this, especially as technology engulfs every aspect of our life, of our business and our world. And there's an inconvenient truth around that, because there's an ongoing developer talent shortage. So how do you see this impacting the IT landscape, particularly in terms of things like project delivery and innovation in the workplace?
Yeah, I think as leaders, we've all struggled with the shortage of engineers and the talent and the skill set, and it continues to be the problem. I think the layoffs, what you see around, I doubt it's particularly related anything to AI or the engineering or the skill or the talent, because we see huge amount of demand for highly skilled engineers, especially the new branch of engineering which is emerging is the whole LLM. How do you have the right engineers and skills to continue to fine-tune, custom-build LLMs? And because that's become the engine for everything AI at the back end. So there is a need for every engineer and developer to be able to move up in the curve. And that's what it is actually pushing the envelope at the moment. But it has nothing to do with the layoff at all. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, software engineering is one of the top 4 highly in demand roles and the skill set. And it's projected that over the next 10 years, there is going to be a need for at least 500,000 developers and engineers just in the U.S. to be able to support the growth and the demand. And that is even without considering the amount of augmentation and enablement that Gen AI would do. I foresee that number doubling in terms of the demand for real talent who could effectively drive these fine-tuning and refining of some of these models, LLMs, all in place as well.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that. And there's a term that we're hearing more and more about lately, and that is citizen development. So for anybody listening hearing about it for the first time, can you just explain the concept of citizen development and its significance in today's tech-driven business environment?
Yeah. Just like I said earlier, every IT leader is consistently battling with the scenario of backlogs within the company. A recent economist survey states that every company has at least 6 to 12 months of project backlogs in IT on an average. And that's primarily because of the shortage of the right skill set and the talent, which we can't hire enough engineers or developers within the company. Now, if you think about that scenario, fundamentally, how that is going to shift is all the IT leaders and CIOs are recognizing the need of delegating this development work to the edge of the operations and the business processes. And the best people who could effectively automate, build applications, and custom build all this kind of digitization of the processes are actually right in the forefront of those operations. You could be in sales, you could be in marketing, you could be in legal, finance, wherever you could think of. But every CIO is looking at the way in which we could actually delegate these opportunities to find ways we can actually make the processes automated and digitized and make the processes faster with the help of platforms like low-code, no-code platforms. And it's now driving the boundaries with the help of Gen AI. When you bring the two together, that's the combination of generative AI and the low-code, you're effectively enabling anyone to be able to build and automate and digitize processes. The only limitation is your imagination or the ability to actually identify what is the true pain point or the bottleneck within the process or the business operations. And now you're giving that ownership directly to someone who is at the edge of this business process itself, rather than highly depending on an IT or a developer to be able to do all that, or decode and translate that into code and being able to build those processes and automations within the company.
And I've got to ask, what does this mean for ServiceNow? How are you guys positioning yourself in the realm of citizen development, and what kind of unique offerings does it bring to the table? Not just for yourself, but for the clients as well, of course.
Yeah. ServiceNow was started in 2004, and the original mission or the premise which our founder, Fred Luddy, started the company was anyone should be able to automate and build business processes on our platform. And so automation as a buzzword isn't anything new for us. It's been embedded core to our platform right from the first days of our inceptions. Now, as a company, as a platform, and as the product portfolio, which I own as App Engine, is all about the low-code, no-code platform, which you can now get access to, where you can build any sort of this business processes and digitize this business processes in much easier, simpler fashion. Not only that, we also offer capabilities where now when a CIO think about delegating this ownership of building applications and processes, you're also now concerned about how do I make sure the right people have the right access to right data, security, privacy, all of those, and how do I manage and govern all of those within the platform so that you have the right way to delegate this ownership. And that's where our second, I would say, most complemented capability on our platform is something called App Engine Management Center. So we bring the two together, where you get this no-code, low-code access to the platform where you can delegate it out to anyone to be able to build and automate those processes, along with giving the CIO and the IT teams the right control and governance of who is getting access to what data, who can build what, all the way from access control and role-based access controls, fundamentally very much built into the technology and the platform itself. That's how we are bringing it all together.
And with the rise of things like generative AI, I'm curious, how do you believe this technology could reshape the traditional paradigms of app development and generate business value? What are you seeing here?
Yeah, I think, if you really take a step back and kind of decouple those words of low code and no code, Generative AI would now make a low code and absolutely no code. And the way it works is, and I'm going to start to use that word more to describe our platform in the future when I bring together the generative AI and the low-code platform. Effectively, imagine you are someone in a marketing team. Now you actually want to build or automate the process of event tracking as a marketing team. You can now use simple, natural English language to say, build me an events tracker on our platform where we are embedding things like a text-to-app, which we are about to launch in a few months from now. We already have capabilities like text-to-code, where simple English statement will generate the snippets of code for you, and text-to-flow, where more or less you can actually describe the process flow. Our platform will generate those workflows for you on the fly in a few minutes. But you can imagine you from the marketing team in putting the statement into our Now Assist for Creator, which is a product which we launched, and saying, I would like to build a marketing events tracker. And on our platform, in few minutes, leveraging all our platform components and all the architecture at the back end, generative AI would almost build 60 to 80% of the application in few minutes for you. And now the last 20% or the 30% of the application is where low code or no code really comes in, where now you have the ability to really click, drag, drop, fine tune, change the font, refine the look and feel. There could be the color palette. It could be changing the title. It could be dragging the field to a different position and all of it. Now, if you really think about it, you have a pain point in which you wanted to automate a process. You went to Now Assist for Creator on our platform. You said, I want to build this marketing events tracker. The generative AI Now Assist for Creator build that application on an automation for you in few minutes. And the last 20%, or in the next, maybe that's where you may take a longer time, where now you're really fine-tuning the nuances of how that automation and the application would really come together. Going back to what I started your question with, Neil, you can now really think about we moving rapidly from low code to an absolute no code scenario with the help of generative AI and the platform coming together.
Incredibly cool. And you mentioned a few minutes ago there, text to code, and ServiceNow has been enabling use cases like text to code and also text to workflow. And just to bring that to life, can you further expand on some of those capabilities, how they're actually empowering organizations and what the future holds for them too?
Yeah, so a large number of customers of ours have started to deploy some of these capabilities within their platform, and we are seeing immense amount of positive feedback and certain things which we need to work on as well. Within our own company, our CIO's team or the IT team have started leveraging things like a text to code. They're immediately seeing an efficiency of 30% more. Imagine you're saving that 30% capacity, which kind of goes back to my earlier talk track about shortage of developers. So as and when these models are getting more and more fine-tuned and getting smarter, you see a possibility of a seasoned developer being faster multiple X times in terms to be able to design, develop, deploy, test, and deploy the code in much better fashion. So that's about the seasoned developer. Now you can think about a mid-skilled developer who may not be is into full-fledged scripting and coding, but understand the platform, components, and capabilities. And that developer or a mid-skilled developer has the ability to now simply type in saying that I would like to build an X process flow, which can actually make it could be a procurement process. It could be a finance budgeting approval process. Our platform will build that for you in a few minutes. We haven't measured that efficiency yet because we start to see a lot of customers starting to use it. But over the course of next, I would say, quarter or two, we should have some numbers. But fundamentally, you're making seasoned developers multiple times faster to be able to bring all this together, all the way from design to development to testing to deploy. But someone who is not a skilled scripter or a coder, you're now reducing the entry barrier for that person to be able to get started with building things, rather than in the old way of you're first trying to define the process, you're trying to look at the design. Now you need to fine-tune the design on a process flow. Then you now transfer that to an IT person to look at all this different system which they need to integrate, stitch together, components which they need to bring together. It's a multi-month, multi-week cycle you're talking about. But here, you get 60% of that automation on an app built more or less in few minutes. And you're then fine-tuning and polishing with your right set of teams and the stakeholders to test and deploy it. Even we are looking at things like, text to test, where you're going to run much faster cycles for your automation testing, and before you're deploying into the production. So we see efficiencies across the different skill set of developers, whether you're absolutely new to coding without no code or low code platform, or you're a seasoned developer where you can now build faster with the help of text to code kind of capabilities.
And at the very beginning of our conversation, we were talking about the new skill set required and the skill development for AI solutions. And as Gen AI looks increasingly like it's going to become more and more prevalent, it's not going away after the hype last year. What skills do you think will be more crucial for professionals to effectively train, monitor, and optimize these new AI solutions?
I think for a seasoned developer, every other month or so, you have brand new language models getting introduced. As an example, in the recent past, after the buzz of OpenAI and ChatGPT, we are seeing Llama getting so much prevalence. Now we are seeing models like Mixtral getting so much of prevalence. So as a seasoned developer, I think it'll be great for you to fine-tune or tune into all this rapid emergence happening in the market, so that you are keeping yourself updated about some of the advantages and efficiencies which is coming up with this model. Second thing is learn how to prompt well in terms of, which will make it faster, easier for you. So prompt engineering itself is becoming a really attractive career for a lot of engineers in general. Now, on a citizen developer or someone who has no skills in terms of coding, I think the best thing you could do is truly look for the pain points and bottlenecks in the processes and the business operations. That role of identifying the pain points and the bottleneck used to be with this the coveted skill set called Six Sigma specialist and Lean specialist in the past. And you have the ability to now define a process and outline the process. Now, you can more or less I would say, shrunk all of those processes and activities to be able to get to a point where you sense a pain point or a bottleneck, but you now have the ability to truly play around building an automation or an application in few minutes on the fly with platforms like ServiceNow embedded or infused with some of these Gen AI capabilities. That's why we believe these two spectrum of skill set of the developers, that's how they could effectively look for efficiencies and the bottlenecks on the citizen developer or delegated developer side. On the highly skilled seasoned developers, continuously update yourself with prompt engineering, new LLMs which are getting out in the market. This is what my guidance would be.
When it comes to the democratization of app development with generative AI and low code, etc., how do you see this democratization materializing? And what do you think that potential impact will be on the industry? I know we're very early days, but I'm curious how you see all this taking shape.
Sure. I think it goes back to a lot of the IT and the CIOs are truly recognizing the power of a low-code platform, low-code, no-code platform, and Gen AI coming together. we see much higher confidence in embracing the journey of this delegated development by the CIO and IT leaders in the market. But however, a lot of our enterprises and the customers they all are learning and testing how they can leverage this powerful combination together to be able to delegate these responsibilities and opportunities out into the business functions itself. So that effectively means like the 6 to 12 month backlog the economists surveyed together, hopefully we see a huge decrease in that amount of backlog over the course of next 2 to 5 years to come. But fundamentally, the phase every CIO and the enterprise technology teams are going is they're testing it by themselves. And now they're getting prepared. Once that phase is over, once they have enough confidence, they will now start to really delegate and distribute that capability and the skill set or those platforms out to the business functions, which is going to truly disrupt and transform the way every enterprise will drive not only business process innovations, but also will have huge impact on time to market or the efficiencies which they would gain every day from those business processes going forward. That's what the biggest advantage I foresee happening. Backlog will come down. You will have a lot more business functions taking ownership to build automations and applications to truly make it efficient for them to run the operations and the business on a day-to-day, making them more agile, easily scalable, time to market. All of those benefits would come by as a part of it.
And if we do dare to look ahead, look into the future at how all these trends will converge and evolve, how do you envision the role of citizen developers evolving? And what are the key challenges and equally opportunities that you see happening in this space?
By default, delegated development is going to take precedence. And I'm using the word delegated development and citizen development interchangeably a little bit. It is going to take precedence, and that's the only way companies and enterprises can truly scale the efficiencies and the velocity they have to keep up as the growth is as they are on a hyper growth mode. But on top of all of these things, it's very important that we also have the right guardrails and the governance in place, because now you've given such a powerful technology to a lot of people within the company where you can now build process automations, you can integrate with the right data set, you can now connect multiple different systems together, or you can now connect multiple different business operations and processes together easily with the help of these two powerful technologies. But you need to make sure you are giving the right data controls, privacy controls, access limits, and the governance overlaid on top of all of these things. So while you wrapping up your getting familiar with this whole delegated development model and testing, you also need to make sure that you're putting the right governance and guardrails in place in the company as to expand this platform and generative AI capabilities across the larger section of your employees within the company.
Absolutely love that. And just turning to yourself for a moment, I always like to try and find out a little bit more about my guests, what motivates them, what their secret to their success is. And of course, everyone here, and we've been talking throughout this interview about this need to continuously learn, to stay ahead of tech trends. That as someone that's had a hugely successful career and building for the future, how or where do you self-educate? Any tips you can leave everyone listening?
Thank you for the kind words, Neil. A lot of my learning actually comes with a lot of the short readings I do on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a big source of information for me in terms of a variety of things. And I follow a number of different leaders, all the way from, I would say, Satya Nadella to our own CEO, Bill, to CJ Desai, to a number of big leaders, which I've seen immense amount of leadership and thought leadership in every aspect of how industry is growing. In addition to it, I also listen to a number of podcasts, including yourself, Neil. So that's why I said it's an honor to be here and talking to you today. But above and beyond following the technology and the evolution in the market, and to list down who all are the technology leaders I follow, it's a long list. So I wouldn't attempt to do that. I follow a lot of people in terms of to be able to keep up to date. But on the leadership side, I truly admire some of the principles which Adam Grant, he's a professor at Wharton who wrote the book Givers and Takers, and which is one of the books which had a profound impact in my leadership career and the way I approach how you actually lead teams, how do you collaborate, how you work with the team. So Adam Grant is someone I closely follow from a leadership principles point of view. Now, in the recent past, I've been, trying to update myself on some of the aspects of longevity. And I've been following someone called Peter Attia, and I'm right now reading his book called Longevity in terms of what's the right level of nutrition and how do you really think about how do you manage your health and all of it on a day-to-day basis. And another person I truly follow is a professor from Stanford. His name is Andrew Huberman. He's another podcast which I'm a regular listener to, which gives me a little bit of break from the usual technology spectrum towards everything else as a human being in our lives and our longevity and all of those aspects as well. These are the things which kind of keeps me up to date, and I often look for opportunities to go back into classes, training sessions, coaching. I'm a big advocate of leadership coaching by myself. So those are the things which really helps me up to date as a leader, as a human being, as a coworker within the company.
Wow, there is so much gold in your answer there. I'm going to be picking out some of those little tips myself to help me, and some of the books and podcasts. And thank you so kindly for the kind words about this show. And it's an honor to have you on as not only a guest, but as a listener too. And for anyone listening that would just like to find out more information about you, though, about ServiceNow, about any of the topics we discussed today, where would you like to point them?
Absolutely. I'll start with ServiceNow. Check out our website. It's the best source of information. We have a ton of ServiceNow resources and reading materials, references, customer use cases, studies, everything you can go. It's www.servicenow.com. I would also point you to join our community. We have an amazing community, which is very vibrant. We exchange a ton of not only developer-specific use cases, but also about enterprise platforms, automations, Gen AI, and we have so many groups within, and it's a really huge community we have, and we are really proud of. About myself, I would say LinkedIn is where you can really find me. I'm pretty active in terms of LinkedIn. You should be able to find me with my first name, Jithin, last name, Bhasker. Please connect with me. I would love to hear from you, learn from you, and looking forward to see how best I could be of any help and support as well.
You are a gentleman, sir. I will get all those links added so people can find you nice and easily, and also find out more about ServiceNow. And I can't believe in just 30 short minutes, we covered everything from the talent shortage, the role of citizen development, generative AI's impact on development, text to code and the workflow revolution, skill development for AI solutions, democratization of app development, and also, of course, the role of ServiceNow in all this. So I do urge people listening to check out those links that we've provided and some of those podcasts and books you mentioned too. But more than anything, just thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, Neil. It's an honor. Thank you.
So today we delved into the shifting landscape of technology, exploring the nuances of that tech talent shortage. So much more than just a big scary headline you might see on LinkedIn or in your newsfeed. And also learning more about the rise of citizen developers and the transformative impact of generative AI on app development. But it's clear that the future of app development is being redefined. It's a blend of AI and low-code platforms combined with the skills of a human developer and collectively offering new avenues for innovation and productivity. But as we embark on this journey, the need for continuous learning, proper governance, all remain paramount. But what are your thoughts on this evolving landscape? We're entering some are describing a golden era of democratized app development. But on the flip side, many think that there are challenges that we are yet to foresee. So please share your thoughts. I want you to join the conversation. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilCHughes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything we talked about today. And finally, please don't forget to subscribe, rate and review, share your thoughts on today's topic, anything at all. I'm the easiest guy in the world to find. In fact, I'm that easy. I'll be waiting in your podcast feed bright and early tomorrow with another guest lined up for you. But thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.